Good afternoon, Mr. Raymond Kwok, Mr. Kenneth Kwok, Mr. Cheng Yan Ki, Professor Roland Chin, Professor Zongwei, distinguished guests, and fellow students. It is my greatest pleasure to welcome all of you here to the conferment ceremony of Kwok Yat Wai Endowed Chair of Environmental and Biological Analysis cum inaugural lecture by Professor Zongwei, founding Endowed Chair of Environmental and Biological Analysis. My name is Sharon Tang, Year 3 student of the School of Communication, and I'm very honored to be today's MC. To begin with, may I invite Professor Roland Chin, President and Vice Chancellor, to deliver his welcoming remarks. President Chin, please.
Good afternoon. I'm so glad to see a lot of young faces. Not the front row, sorry. At the back. They're all students, I assume. Are you students? Yes. Okay. There are a lot of students. You must be attracted not by me, but by the professor. And I'm glad to see a lot of young faces to make this ceremony more valuable. People often ask me, what do we do at the university? So I tell them that no, students are our main mission. We do everything for the students. So that's why I'm so happy to see all the young faces and the standing room. And professors, so what professors do? I often ask professors that question too. Professors, to me, are the soul of the university. Student, our mission, professor, our soul. And we need to recruit the best talent from all around the world to the university. We need to recognize the best. We also need to empower the best to create knowledge, to inspire our students, to transfer knowledge, to make an impact. And today is a good example of that. And I'm very happy that the Kwok's brother, the Kwok's family, are in line with this particular philosophy to support us for this endowed professorship. Endowed chair is the highest honor any university can give to our professors who basically spend every minute of their working daily life in teaching students and creating knowledge. And their recognition is important, and supporting their research is most important. So on behalf of the university, I want to thank Raymond, Kenneth, this tremendous support to create an endowed chair professor for our professors. And this is the conferment ceremony. At the university, we have a few of these endowed chair, and it is our target to create additional chairs for the next few years. And then we'll make the announcement. And I'm glad that this is the beginning of that journey. Again, on behalf of the university, I would like to thank the Kwok Zongyuk Fund Charitable Fund. This time donated Hong Kong dollar $10 million to establish Kwok Yat Wai Endowed Chair of Environmental and Biological Analysis. This particular chair, occupied by our chair professor, is to do research and development in environmental and biological analysis, to contribute to research, to serve as a principal investigator of our partner state key lab of environmental and biological analysis under the Faculty of Science. Henry and Raymond are the son of Kwok Yat Wai and their late mother, Kwok Zongbo Fund, establishing this worthwhile charitable foundation supporting worthwhile efforts, contributing to social progress and social contribution, especially to Hong Kong Baptist University. And in the past years, this foundation, under the watch of the Kwok's brother, has contributed a total of Hong Kong 60 million in various projects. Some large project is Graduate School Development Fund. There's another fund called Faith, Hope, and Love Endowment Fund. These funds are basically supporting to students, student character development, School of Chinese Medicine, scholarship for international student exchange, language centers, campus development, and this time in particular, the endowed chair of biological and environmental analysis. Our Professor Chai here is a distinguished scientist, and later on, at the beginning of the talk, there will be an introduction to tell all the students and our colleagues how great this professor we have in Hong Kong BU. And I'm going to skip that part, let our Vice President, Professor Luke, to do that honor. And I'm sure that the students at the back and colleagues in this room will be inspired by your lecture, and I'm looking forward to listen to part of it. Excuse that I need to go to another meeting early, so I'll try to stay as long as I could to learn a few things. Again, I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to the Kwok's family, the brothers, and the Kwok Zongbo Fund Charitable Foundation for a good deed, and indeed, it's very important for the university for this particular support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Chin. Please be seated. Now, may I call upon Mr. Raymond Kwok, representative of Kwok Zongbo Fund Charitable Fund, to deliver a speech in Cantonese. Mr. Kwok, please.
鄭主席、前校長、各位嘉賓、各位教職員、各位同學，咁本來咧呢一個咧就係一個speech 嚟嘅，咁我想將個 speech 變做一個感言。感言咧感受個感，亦都可以係勇敢個感嚇，因為本來咧就有份稿嘅，我就唔想照份稿讀啦嚇。咁我希望就係話大家係可以喺裏頭領略到一啲嘢，或者有用或者冇用都唔緊要嚇。嗱，首先我想問一問大家啦，睇下大家有冇聽阿前校長講郭一偉同埋鍾寶芬有乜關係咧？咁啊，郭一偉我阿爸啦，鍾寶芬我阿媽啦嚇。咁基督教咧，其實成日都係講愛嘅。咁但係我哋咩叫愛咧？嗱，我哋浸會大學其實都係美國南邊嗰邊嘅浸會組成嘅，喺香港組成嘅嚇。咁愛係乜嘢咧？我哋成日都講愛。愛其實唔係口講嘅，唔係口講嘅。咁其實我自己諗過一位環境生物分析講座呢個教授咧，嗰一位咧呢個名咧，我諗咗好耐。究竟咩名好咧？因為個分咧就我媽咪嘅，係我媽咪臨死嗰陣時個遺囑裏頭吩咐我哋幾兄弟做嘅嚇。咁我喺度諗啦，諗極都諗唔掂。突然之間諗到愛喎，我相信我媽咪都會愛我阿爸㗎。咁呢個就係我媽咪俾我阿爸嘅禮物，所以就用咗佢個名啦。咁用咗佢個名之後咧，我好安樂，好開心喎，唔使諗咁多嘢啦嚇。咁但係我想同大家講咧，其實愛因為係一個行動咧，所以除咗俾禮物之外咧，其實我哋仲可以講一啲唔係得體嘅説話，係講一啲真誠嘅説話，講一啲鼓勵嘅説話。我哋唔去批評人，我哋唔去攻擊人。我哋要講一啲支持嘅説話，我哋講一啲有建設性嘅説話，呢個係愛。我哋俾一啲有 quality time， 我哋英文 quality time， 中文可以譯做話有質素嘅時間啦。咩叫有質素啊？我哋諗過點樣同我哋仔女相處，我哋可能做父親嘅忙，可能得15分鐘，或者我自己都有一個仔3歲，我同佢嘅我容忍佢，唔係我容忍佢，唔應該咁講嚇。即係我同佢一齊可以相處咧，可能係都係半個鐘頭或者45分鐘。其實你知啊，細路仔3歲講嚟講去都係講嗰啲嘢。爹哋媽咪，有啲人話一叫你爹哋咧就爹哋，爹到你暈咁滯。我都俾佢爹到暈咁滯，不過係爹到哇又嚟啦又嚟啦。咁但係即係話咁點樣去到處理呢件事咧？即係話我哋喺有限嘅時間裏頭，我哋盡量睇下點樣去容忍，點樣令到佢有最快樂嘅時間。因為我哋嘅時間亦都係有唔同嘅嘢要去做嘅。咁我希望就係話喺學校裏頭有愛咧。咁前校長頭先講到啲 professor 做乜嘢？咁喺呢個好有限嘅時間，咁希望佢哋都係會用一啲好有效嘅時間去到教嗰啲學生。咁啲學生亦都會知道，會感恩，會翻去學校，會記住學校，記住個教授嚇。咁另外咧，我哋仲可以係幫人喎，幫人其實都係愛人喎。即係我唔會無端端幫一個人㗎嚇。即係譬如有我都係譬如我哋兄弟幾兄弟咁樣樣我哋可能講電話都係幫㗎，因為其實我又唔係好中意聽佢講嘢，佢又唔好中意聽佢講嘢，但係我又知道佢想有人俾 講嘢俾佢聽喎，我又想有人聽我去到講嘢喎。咁呢個可能都係一個呢個都會係一個愛嘅表現嚇。到最後咁我哋大個話，我同我細佬都少啲啦，或者我哋呢啲中坑啦，我哋叫做50幾歲嘅嚇。但係如果你細個同嗰啲侄仔嘅，咁佢哋好興黑黑啦嚇。咁你大人就即係我哋咁樣先有細路仔女啦。咁嗰啲都係 physical love 啦，咁個 touch 啦，個黑黑。咁或者係知大家啲拍下膊頭啊，同事與同事之間啊，鼓勵啊各方面嚇。咁我相信我希望就係大學會喺呢個氛圍裏頭咯，因為耶穌都係教我哋愛，聖經裏頭都係講愛。咁我哋希望，我自己希望，或者我相信大家都希望，其實大學裏頭有個愛嘅氛圍咯。咁個愛唔係淨係講，唔係空口講白話咯，係有啲實際嘅嘢係真係我哋睇到，我哋做得到嘅嘢係出嚟嘅嚇。咁另外就係話我好多謝，即係其實頭先錢校長話我哋學校sorry，我哋基金做咗咁多，其實都係學校令到我哋基金做咗咁多嘢嘅。即係好多謝阿 Lily 啦，又好多謝上一任陳校長啦嚇，佢哋都係令到，因為其實學校好友善嘅嚇，好多嘢都係做得好好，咁令到我哋做東拿亦都好樂意去到捐獻嚇，亦都係回饋社會，亦都係間好嘅學校。咁所以其實我覺得好多嘢都係相輔相成嘅咯。咁我相信呢個環境生物分析國家重點實驗室呢一個 Endowed Chair 其實咧都係承繼住大學承傳大學一啲本身已經有嘅嘢，去到係繼續發展。我相信係喺呢個阿蔡宗偉教授嘅帶領底下咧，因為其實做科研係好辛苦嘅，日以繼夜，夜以繼日先至做出少少嘢，甚至做唔出任何嘅嘢。咁我覺得即係話，其實我哋做納稅人或者喺社會上面賺到錢，然之後擺翻少少落去學校嗰度，唔夠佢哋嘅辛勞咯。因為佢唔知佢自己做，佢帶住一班同學去到做，佢自己去到做。咁唔係一朝一夕做到任何嘢出嚟，係長年累月，而係好多好多好瑣碎嘅嘢。可能佢連屋企都冇咁，即係因為要工作，連屋企都唔係太過都忽略咗。咁我好希望就係話，藉住我哋對大學嘅少少嘅捐助，可以令到佢更加努力，更加覺得佢嘅做嘅嘢係更加有成效。亦都希望佢嘅團隊可以將來喺科研上面係做到一定嘅成就嚇。咁即係成個大學都係一個團隊嚇。我哋做捐獻嘅人，永遠其實做好少好少，因為其實政府都係好 support 大學嘅。當然有陣時又可能唔係好 support 啦，但係我哋唔理佢唔 support 嗰啲嘢啦，我哋淨係理佢 support 嗰啲嘢啦嚇。咁喺下一年咧，2016年咧，浸大就踏入去轉禧啦，踏入60週年啦。咁我希望大家喺呢個愛嘅環境裏頭，同埋喺呢一個努力同埋師生，大家都係同樣關心大學嘅情形底下，白着光頭更進一步。多謝各位。
Thank you, Mr. Kwok. Please be seated. Now, may I invite Professor Franklin Look, Vice President Academic, to introduce Professor Zongwei, the founding endowed chair of Environmental and Biological Analysis. Professor Look, please.
It's a very tough act to follow. A wonderful and very moving speech. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Raymond Kwok, Mr. Kenneth Kwok, Chairman Y.K. Jang, President Roland Chin, ladies and gentlemen, and students. I'm honored to have this opportunity to introduce the founding Kwok Yat Wai Endowed Chair of Environmental and Biological Analysis, Mr. Chai Zongwei. Professor Chai graduated from Xiamen University with a bachelor degree in chemistry, and from Marburg University in Germany with a PhD degree in analytical chemistry. He worked in research positions in the USA from 1991 to 2000. In 2001, he joined the Hong Kong Baptist University. At HKBU, he is now Chair Professor of Chemistry, Director of Dioxin Analysis Laboratory, and Director of the Partner Key State Laboratory of Environmental and Biological Analysis. Professor Chai is a renowned expert in mass spectrometry and dioxin research. He has received many awards, including the Distinguished Young Scholar Award overseas by the National Natural Science Foundation of China in 2003, and the Overseas Renowned Scholar by the Chinese Academy of Sciences a year later. Currently, he serves as visiting professor at Tsinghua University, Xiamen University, Wuhan University, and Sun Yat-sen University. In 2003, Professor Chai established the Dioxin Analysis Laboratory at HKBU, and it remains as the only academic facility in Hong Kong to deal with dioxins. In addition, he served on the Asia-Pacific Regional Organization Group of the United Nations Environmental Program to work on the guidance for Global Monitoring Program for persistent organic pollutants. To prepare for my introduction, I actually did some homework and I consulted the websites of the EPA and the WHO. The EPA stands for the USA Environmental Protection Agency. And the EPA says that dioxin is one of the most toxic chemicals known to man. I hope you be careful. We have a lot of people in the neighborhood of your laboratory, and dioxin was a major component of the Agent Orange used in the Vietnam War, and it caused an environmental disaster at Love Canal in Niagara Falls in New York. I think these are for the older people like my generation. Agent Orange was a big thing. Love Canal was a big thing too. They really caused a lot of environmental damage, and it hurts a lot of people and families. The WHO stands for World Health Organization, and it says that dioxins can cause reproductive problems, developmental problems in babies, damage the immune system, interfere with hormones, and cause cancer. Let's move the lab out of the campus. But they're very careful. They've been here for so many years. So far, their record is perfect. Dioxins are environmental pollutants. They're everywhere. And we are all exposed to dioxins, so it's not his fault. We get our dioxins from food, especially dairy products, meat, fish, and shellfish. So in Hong Kong, we take in dioxins daily. Once dioxins enter our bodies, they stay there for a long time, unfortunately, because they're very stable chemicals. And the half-life in our bodies is between 7 and 11 years. It's quite scary, right? So it's really timely to have this donation so that Professor Chai hopefully can solve this environmental problem, right? So today he will tell us about monitoring of persistent organic pollutants under the Stockholm Convention and human health. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Look. Please be seated.
So exciting. I will start with my thanks to Mr. Raymond Kwok, Mr. Kenneth Kwok, Chairman Zheng, and Professor Roland Chin. It's so great honor and pleasure to be here today to receive the award of this endowed chair professorship. And it's also my great pleasure to present you some of my recent research. Actually, it's not only mine, it's the whole lab, the whole university, because it's really a collaboration project from all colleagues from chemistry department, physics department, and biology department, and so on. And Professor Luke actually has already give you a lecture on dioxins. So I can skip a lot of my slides. Persistent organic pollutants, Professor Luke has mentioned already. It is the group of compounds, including dioxins and DDTs. The reason I put these two compounds in here is because they represent two different groups. DDT, as you know, we at our age, we remember this very well. It's a very famous pesticide. When I was a child, we actually burned a lot of DDT every year in the house in order to remove pests and insects, including mosquitoes. I think all of us remember the smell of DDT. Unfortunately, it's a toxic compound. Dioxin is different. Dioxin, we never, as a human being, never synthesize it. It's the unintentionally formed in our environment. So Professor Frank Luth, please don't need to worry about it. Our dioxin lab does not produce any dioxin. Our campus is dioxin-free, except some tiny amount of standard we use for the analysis. It's persistent, and Professor Luke already have scientific data on its half-life, 7 to 11 years, for most persistent organic pollutants. And therefore, it exists in our environment a very long time, starting from the air, to the water, to the microorganism, to the fish we have eaten. And it's also long distance transported to anywhere in the world. We have detected the POPs in the North Pole animals. And you know, we don't have industry over there. We have very limited human activity in North Pole, but we do detect POPs there, indicating they are transported through the air as media or some other environmental medias. And most importantly, they are magnificated through the food chain, starting from the air, water, to the microorganism, fish, and other animals we eat. The accumulation could be 100,000 folds when we eat an animal. So you can see when we breathe in the air, even though it contains dioxin, we don't need to worry about. So the campus is free. But when we eat the food, especially in the Hong Kong people like eat seafood, shellfish, as Professor Luke has mentioned, it could be dangerous. So that is why we have food chains here. This slide shows basically the food chain for accumulation of dioxin. Through this food chain, human has been exposed with the dioxin. And the adverse effect, health effect, Professor Luth already mentioned, right? I don't need to, I can quickly snip this night, right? And for this problem, it's a big problem actually. And therefore, every country in this world has united together. This is the first thing people has been so united under the United Nations. And we have heard another disagreement on a lot of issues in the United Nations, but this is the issue. This is the convention or treaty. Almost every country agrees. So far, over 180 countries, region have signed this convention. And those countries who have no sign is not because they against for it. It's because they cannot stop the production at this moment, especially the country, small country with the industry need for it. The STOP Convention is in fact 15 years ago, and with the objective to protect human health and environmental from the persistent organic pollutants. And basically, even the ultimate goal is to stop production of those chemicals that is harmful to human health and the environment. And also to eliminate the intentionally produced persistent organic pollutants like dioxins. We don't produce it, we don't manufacture it for any human purpose, for any commercial products purpose. but it exists in our nature by nature. And also the convention try to monitor the process, the level, every 5 years. And that is our major contribution through the collaboration with United Nations Environmental Program. I would come back to the dioxin because Professor Lut has introduced it. And dioxin is a group of compounds actually, depending on the chlorine substitution of different position, it has 210 congeners, of which 17 congeners are very toxic. That actually is the most toxic compound in the world, according to the US EPA and WHO. And the source of the dioxin I have mentioned earlier is not from human manufacturing or production. It's formed unintentionally in the world. The most major source is through the combustion of waste. That is why in Hong Kong, we have so many people against building the incinerator. But eventually we have to do it. And therefore, scientists like me and others should contribute to this procedure. As mentioned earlier, the dioxin exposure are mainly from food, although the contamination are from the burning, from the air, but eventually the major injection of dioxin to the human body is from food chain. And taking one example from Germany, because German people like eat milk and milk product, they have 1/3 dioxin intake from the milk and milk product. Another 1/4 from the meat and 1/4 from fish. Now, Hong Kong people will be very different because we eat a lot of fish and we eat less milk product. I will present the data to you later through our own research. The first or the most significant dioxin case on human is this guy. Okay? He didn't eat a lot of fish. He didn't eat a lot of food containing dioxin, but he was poisoned by someone with dioxin. And this has been reported. And the former Ukraine president said he was found tumor or even cancer developed in his body. If I were him, I have died more than 10 times. Because the level in the dioxin blood is 50,000 times of the normal level. The reason he was alive is because the Western country at that time, they want to keep him alive. For the Orange Revolution, I remember. Yeah. So he was changing the blood for the whole body every other days at the beginning. And he was also, I heard his organ, some of his organ tissue was changed to in the most advanced hospital in Geneva and spent a lot of money, of course. Otherwise, we will not have the case of this human dioxin exposure. And the dioxin case in food has been reported very often in the world. The most significant one is in Belgium in 1999. And this not only caused huge economic damage, but also caused the enacting out of the government next year. So you see, dioxin could kill people not only, but also could kill the government. And the air level dioxin, the highest was detected in the United States in New York City during the 9/11 terrorism attack. The US EPA analyzed the air sample and found and reported this is the highest ambient concentration that have ever been reported. And the level remains highest until December, 3 months after the attack. And recently we heard a lot of actually story on the firefighter against this during that incident, and they have been found a lot of tumor and other health problem, and United government is very nervous on this. If it's proved because of dioxin, and there will be a second Vietnam War incident after the Agent Orange use. For this, we know the problem. Everyone knows the problem, and HKBU has taken the leading role in analyzing and monitoring dioxin in a food sample and air sample for food safety and human health. Showing here is the chart for our long history in developing the analytical chemistry and environmental science, starting for the last almost 35 years. And of course, with the support from the UGC and the RGC and Hong Kong government. And also recent year, we have developed a state-key lab of environmental and biological analysis, focusing on the POPs research. And this is a slide showed our major research directions for POPs-related environment and human health research, including environmental distribution, environmental processing, and control. And also, we also study the human health-related issue, like biological accumulation of POPs, metabolism, and toxicology to human body. By using what we call the certain platform in the past we have developed. I will report, my first report is on the research, what we have done by using this long-term developed platform. For example, the technology program called metabolomics or proteomics combined with the established cell model and animal model with analytical technology, including mass spectrometry. And we have been able to use those technology to conduct the research in life science and human health area. I take the dioxin as an example again. The toxicity of dioxin has been proved for decades as the AHR binding. And for that, we have developed two animal models by using high affinity mouse model represented by Hug for my student, and also low affinity AHR model, D2 model, with represented by just by handshaking. And the two model has been used for dioxin study in our own animal facilities. And we have used these two models, as you can see, for the study. And I can assure the air conditioning in the animal facility is much better than here. And the mice were fed with very good food, including corn, peanut, and oil. And in fact, they drink water without lid. And as a result, the animal actually become very fat. And they gain another weight during the experiment in the control if we don't dose the dioxin tonight. However, as you can see here, we call it pharmacodynamic. Some of the animal in the group we dose has used with dioxin, TCDD, and they become slim. They lost weight. While in the control group, as I mentioned, gain another weight. So you can see in the Gangfei Haoguo here, the lost weight effect here. But please note, this is not from the exercise. This is not from traditional Chinese medicine. This is from the dioxin toxicity. So we know this toxicity, and therefore we are able to separate the group by using our advanced analytical technology to analyze the sample. It's called Inaugural spray, LCMS. By using this advanced technique, we are able to identify biomarker in the animal body that respond to this toxicity. One of the metabolites or biomarker we identified through the MS analysis is called candidin. It's one of the candidins. And once we identify it, we measure its level in the control group and the toxic group and the dosed group. We found in the dosed group, its level has been increased significantly. And this means the biomarker has been changed through the dioxin toxicity. And from the biological sciences, we know the candidin increased could result in the increase of the fatty acid beta oxidation. We have biology department professor here. If I'm wrong, please correct me. And this fatty acid bio-oxidation, together with the fatty acid biosynthesis and also amino acid metabolism, increase or decrease, could lead to an understanding on an important TCA cycle. And this is the TCA cycle. I'm not going to go to the detail on it, but what I want to emphasize is, from the toxicity of dioxin, we found some of the biomarker. Either their level has been decreased, we call it down-regulation, or increased, called it up-regulation. And through analysis of this TCA cycle, people could understand the energy metabolism because they are highly related to the energy metabolism. And energy metabolism is a factor of gaining weight, losing weight, and even if it's developed further, eventually it will cause cancer. And that is why we call the biological bioanalytical sciences research on the TCA cycle could introduce further research on cancer research. I'd like to summarize this part. We know these two particular groups, high affinity or low affinity, has caused the biomarker change in the animal body. And this change, either fatty acid increase or beta oxidation, has been related to the TCA cycle, which is highly involved in the energy metabolism. And this opened the door for our further study for toxicology, cancer pathology, and so on. The second report to you is the service to the nation, to the region, or to the world. Our university has done very well in the past to serve the nation, region, even the world. The dioxin lab in our university was one of the earliest in the Greater China. And with the experience and expertise, we have organized a lot of workshops and training sponsored by United Nations Environmental Program to the people in China, to the people in India and other country regions. We have also coordinated or collaborated with Hong Kong government, EPA, for example, to organize together the big conference and convention workshop to solve the problem or to provide education on the Stockholm Convention. And as an expertise in the country and the region, we have been invited to write a report under the Stockholm Convention. The reason the United Nations has selected HKBU to write a report for the Asian Pacific region, the first and second report under Stockholm Convention, is because of our reputation and expertise. And this, I feel very proud of it. I want to report you our local service, our service to local community too, because as mentioned by Professor Chen and also Luke, our university not only conduct good research, but also provide good service to the community. We have established this dioxin lab which is internationally recognized, and by United Nations environmental program, and the lab also received the accreditation for analyze environmental and food samples. I want to provide you a case study today, maybe that is related to every of us in terms of food dioxin. For the last 10 years, the dioxin lab in Hong Kong BU has spent our own pocket money to conduct research on Hong Kong food and risk assessment for dioxin exposure and human health. We don't want that money. It's not the case. We don't want the money from government. Actually, we can easily obtain the research grant, but we don't want to be bound to any of the government agency so that the public may not trust the data. I'm going to give you a case on that later. Instead, we are supported by private donor and also the university, private fund, and our own dioxin lab fund to conduct this research. We analyzed hundreds of food persuaded from Hong Kong, from local. Of course, some of food are imported. Actually, most of the food are imported from the world, but they are taken by Hong Kong people. We estimate potential direct exposure to different groups and compare with the international standard, including the WHO standard, so-called tolerate intake level, daily in level, and SEF level for the week. I'm going to refer back to these two levels later. Here's showed the data from this food we have analyzed, all different kinds of foods. We purchase from the supermarket and also the market. Most of the food actually in Hong Kong, consumed in Hong Kong, have the lower level of dioxin than the international standard, which we all feel happy about this. Only a couple of names reach the extreme level, higher than the extreme level by the WHO, but they still lower than maximum level. Let me explain what extreme level. Extreme level in EU means once the dioxin level is in food exceeds the level, investigation should be done. The maximum level means if the food dioxin exceeds that level, there will be a punishment. The food should not be sold anymore. Actually, once it reached the extreme level, it should be stopped selling. And we compared the dioxin level from 100 foods we have analyzed from Hong Kong and interpret the data together with the government published Hong Kong food consumption habit. And this is the data from the government, but I think everyone would trust it because there is no any political direction here. It's just the daily consumption habit by Hong Kong people. From here, you can see the Hong Kong people actually consume a lot of fish, 24%, 1/4 of the fish, compared to maybe 5 or 10% in Germany. And we analyzed the average data, the average intake dioxin of regular Hong Kong people. We also analyzed the high-risk group who, for example, eat a lot of dioxin-containing foods. Are we safe? That is the question. So we conduct this study by using the assumption that people has generally eaten the average percentage of the different food, and also those people subgroup eat a lot of fish or a lot of meat, for example. So we have two different studies. One is by using average data. We are safe. I can report you to some extent. For the average people, when the people eat regularly diet or regularly close the habit, percentage habit in Hong Kong published by the government, our intake level of dioxin actually is below the WHO lower level, which means we are very safe from dioxin risk. But for those people, I call it 95 percentile, who eat a lot of other dangerous foods or potentially dioxin containing food, they could be dangerous. As you can see, their body level are close to the WHO higher level limit. This is the daily intake level. If we convert the data to the weekly data, you can see for the average people, ordinary people, we are still okay. But for those subgroup, 95 percentile group, they actually are in danger. Or we call it risk of cancer. So what is in the food actually can cause higher risk? This is the data we have found. We found the mean concentration or average concentration in Hong Kong food in terms of dioxin level, 60% come from fish, and mostly from shellfish. So remember, we average Hong Kong people consume the food consumption of fish is 24%, but the dioxin level here is almost 60%. All dioxin intake by human in Hong Kong, by Hong Kong resident, we have 60% exposure from fish and shellfish. But don't be afraid of eating fish. I like eating seafood very much, actually. The fact is you just need to be aware of this and also be careful of some particular fish that could contain higher level of dioxin. Okay. Compare this data with German data. Remember the German data, WHO report, they only have 1/3 of dioxin exposure from fish. And we have 2/3 almost in Hong Kong. So this indicated for those subgroup of the people who eat a lot of shellfish will be in danger. Okay. My second case, I need to hurry a little bit. The second case is on the Disneyland. We have a wonderful Disneyland. We are proud of it in Hong Kong, right? But very little people know that Disneyland was built on a dangerous place. It's called shipyard. And this yard was highly contaminated, not only with dioxin, but also with other heavy metals. Because it was used in the past as a shipyard, and without environmental protection, people tend to split the diesel and the gasoline and burned on the beach. And a lot of time they are not burned completely, and dioxin is formed through that process. Anyway, the government has taken action. Of course, after the environmental evaluation, you cannot change the place, but they can put some money. It costs a lot of money, as you can see, to treat the soil. Imagine we are treating 30,000 cubic meter soil for from dioxin contamination. And this is the equipment imported from the United States for cleaning. It's called thermal destruction. And it used water and alcohol to do the cleaning. And after soil was cleaning, it was returned back to the. Here's the result. We compare the data from all 5 stations with the international data. People like to see the United States data. And also we compare it, the dioxin station from Central, Cheung Wang. We found the level, it is safe. The level is no higher than the international standard. It's not higher than anywhere in Hong Kong or in the United States. And we report it to the public. People trust it. And finally, the crisis was over, the problem was solved. And I can safely tell you today, the Hong Kong air is safe. And also the Disneyland is safe from dioxin. I would like to thank Guo Zhongbao Fund, Charity Fund, very much. I would like to thank the university, our university has provided long-term and continuous support to the diocesan lab, to the state key lab, to the research in environmental and biological sciences research. I'd like to thank the United Nations Environmental Program for the collaboration. They trust Hong Kong BU to lead the group to work on the Stockholm Convention. I'd like to thank the Grant Committee of Hong Kong, including EPD, the ECF Fund, and also mostly the RGC Fund for the support, financial support. And most importantly, I'd like to thank my students, postdoc, staff, and colleagues too for the collaboration. I particularly want to thank Professor Mack here from CUHK who came here first, the sign on the sheet. For your support, long-term support, I thank all my friends and colleagues for the support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Tai. Please take a seat on the stage. Here comes the Q&A session. May I invite Professor Franklin Look to host the session. Professor Look, please.
Thank you for this very entertaining speech. So it's time for questions. Anyone who lives in Qingyi? Yes. Okay. You want to ask the first question?
Professor Tai, thank you for your fruitful talk. It was very informative. Actually, I had a question about your talk. You mentioned in your presentation that one of the main sources of dioxin is waste incineration. As we know, Hong Kong is facing waste issue, and the landfills are very limited in Hong Kong. So may I know your opinion about the building new incinerators in Hong Kong? Are they really efficient? Because it seems that it's very promising to solve this problem. Thank you.
Okay, good question. There is always a balance. Okay, I'm a scientist who detect the dioxin level. I know dioxin exists in the air. I know dioxin contamination comes from waste incineration. But on the other hand, we do have problem of, like you said, the waste accumulation. The people, the daily life generate a lot of waste. For solving this problem, we cannot leave the waste always there by using landfill. Number one, you said the space limit we all know in Hong Kong. Number two, we don't want to leave those garbage to our next generations. So we have to find the technology to deal with it. One of the approaches, unfortunately, is waste incineration. So again, even though I'm a dioxin analyst, I know dioxin contamination from incineration, I still agree with the waste incineration to be at the incinerator to deal with the waste problem, the solid waste, chemical waste, and other waste. But on the other hand, we have to develop a good technology, like I have presented. If the incinerator temperature can be controlled at as high as 700 degrees or higher, dioxin could be decomposed. Dioxin will not be formed. But the problem, of course, sometimes is when you just raise the temperature and when you shut down the incineration for taking break, for example, for maintenance, and during that process, dioxin could be formed. But we have to monitor it. If we could monitor that, of course, dioxin production through the waste incineration could be avoided. And of course, that need dioxin analysis, that need dioxin laboratory from Hong Kong Baptist University.
Other questions? Yeah. Professor Lam.
Thank you. Professor Hai, which is very interesting and relevant information to present to us because I always went to Disneyland with my daughters. So your conclusion is significant to me. I have one question. The question is, the food you examine in the Hong Kong case, it seems, which is the major source for the dioxin. So the first question is, do you have any guidelines you produce from your lab, your studies, that could help us to better prepare for our diet? And another question come from this one is, we all claim for balanced diet. From your case, fish, egg is quite risky. So how can we balance these two saying from a diet aspect and your study? Thank you.
Okay. First of all, we don't have a guideline on the dioxin level or any standard, but the Hong Kong government does adopt the EU standard, which is very strict, even stricter than United States. But of course, the Hong Kong government regularly checks the dioxin in the food too. Our data is mainly from a private fund, from our own interesting, and we publish scientific paper, but we don't intend to interfere with the government policy at this moment. But occasionally, government, they read our paper, they will come to us and discuss it. But and of course, we don't want to release too much the higher dioxin level data into the newspaper. Otherwise, it will be in a dangerous situation in the university, I guess. And the second question is about the advice on the diary. I think, again, there is a balance of nutrition and dioxin risk. It's true, the fish, especially some shellfish, like crab, I like very much. And also lobster, they contain very high level of dioxin. Yeah, but we have to eat now. I mean, not only for nutrition purposes, but also for entertainment, we call it, or for how do you...
If you cook a lobster at 700...
Let become carbon. Then you are eating carbon, no fish tissue. Yeah. Yes, but I would say the data actually generally showed only those people who has very bad dietary habit may have a risk. Most Hong Kong people, even though we ate much more seafood than other countries, people are safe from dioxin risk. So it should be fine at this level. But we still need to monitor it. I mean, especially in those food imported from other countries, from Belgium, for example, from Vietnam, because of Agent Orange, we need to be careful. Yeah, that is the job we are doing. We control those foods imported from other countries, and if we find anything abnormal level, we will. We don't report to the newspaper. We talk to the scientists. We talk to the government. Yeah.
I'll use the microphone to ask a question. In one of your last slides, I see that Japan has very high level. Can you explain why?
He's a very good observer. I actually didn't talk about that. Japan has a higher standard. Higher standard, okay, let me put this way, the higher level of the standard for the air dioxin, simply because Japan never be able to meet the EU standard or the United States EPA standard, because Japan has several hundreds incinerator, very old one. They burn every single garbage and waste, and traditionally their dioxin level in the air is high. It's high.
And we should not go to Japan, but
No,
it's safe to go to Disneyland.
No, again, the human doesn't take the dioxin from the air. I mean, maybe the air exposure only has less than 1%. Most of the dioxin will come to the water, from the microorganism and the animal, and then we consume it from there. Yeah.
Questions? Yes. Hi, Peter. Welcome.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much. It's my first time to listen to chemistry lecture without falling asleep.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I actually listened. The figure in Japan is actually 0.6 to
Yes.
prove that I didn't fall asleep. Now, around this subject, I'm not a professor, but I study chemistry and I work for the company that invented Agent Orange a long time ago. Yeah. Now, is there does Baptist Hospital, for example, offer checkup on ordinary citizens about their dioxin level, or is it necessary?
I would say it's very necessary. And because we have a capability, and it will bring a good business to us too, and a very good reputation. But based on my knowledge, Hong Kong doesn't have this study at all. We have actually, through the different conference, we have approached government, Department of Hygiene, and because there is the national need to monitor the dioxin in human sample, particularly human milk, because the dioxin can be transferred from mother to baby through the human baby milk. In Hong Kong, there was an early study 15 years ago by Chinese university, and they sent the sample to Germany for an analysis. They found the Hong Kong human milk level of dioxin is among the average in the world. But that was very old data. So we will highly appreciate if government would initiate the testing on any human tissue.
Now, for female, you can test for milk, but for men, what do you test?
We test the tissue.
Oh, tissue.
The story related to the Agent Orange in U.S. veteran, those soldiers who has been sent to the Vietnam War, they have very good reason to be tested. When I work in Nebraska, my lab actually analyzed dioxin, 1993. And for one time, when a law passed in the United States Congress that any veteran, Vietnam War veteran, if can be confirmed in their tissue, particularly in the fat, because dioxin exists in the fat, can prove exists to one level. I forgot the detailed data. If the level in the soldier can reach to a certain level, they can claim huge amount of money from the government. And therefore, my lab, which is not my lab, it's my professor's lab, by the way, okay, Professor Michael Gross. If anyone send the tissue to our lab for the dioxin test, and we found a level higher than the government setting level, that soldier, the veteran, can obtain a big amount of money. And that is why during my postdoc, I have seen another Vietnam veteran. They come to the lab, very old age, and then with wheelchair, please, professor, please, doctor, take my sample from my body. And we cannot do the surgeon. The hospital will come to do the surgeon, to take the tissue. Tissue from most areas from here, because this is another fat, and we analyze a lot of human tissue sample and blood sample and submit data to the government.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you are welcome.
Further questions?
This would be our last question. Anyone wants to ask? Thank you.
Firstly, thanks for your wonderful lecture. I would like to ask a question. I read a recent report indicating that tumor and similar disease were found in some firefighters who worked at area of 9/11 terrorism attack. Do you think it is related to the detected high level of dioxin?
Yes, it's possible. And I have mentioned during my lecture that there was a recent report that the firefighter involved in the 911, they have been found with some tumor development in the body, exactly like the Vietnam veteran case. So the government now is very nervous because this will be a lot of big money if it's proved with the dioxin contamination. It's very possible because the data show by the US EPD, the dioxin level in the air at that time was very high. But of course, there are other, contamination, particularly in the fine particle during that. So it need to be studied. But my opinion is it's possible if the tumor is particularly the problem.
Okay, so let's thank Professor Chai for the Q&A.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We thank Professor Chai and Professor Look for bringing us the inspiring discussions. The conference ceremony cum inaugural lecture has come to an end. Thank you again for the generous support of the Kwok Chung Bofen Charitable Fund and your kind participation. Thank you all for coming and wish you a nice evening.